Hello. Yeah, is that any brighter? I knew it was dark. I had to go turn the light on. What a day, what a day. I had an appointment this morning, so I've been up since early. Then, all right, then I had my appointment this morning after I went to my parents' house. Hey, lady. Good to see you here, sister. I'm another mister. Yeah, so I just finished the step book. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and say the Serenity Prayer and get the meeting started. Oh, and I need to grab my step book. I forgot that. Just a minute. Let me go grab my book. Not prepared at all today. Can you tell? Anyways, I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Anyways, so because I just finished, or we just finished the step book and the traditions, I figured I would do an open meeting for anybody that might be new here or new to AA, whatever. Um, share some of my story because not everybody's heard all of my story because like I don't always share everything. But anyways, one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Three, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. Four, made a fearless, made a searching and fearless inventory of ourselves. Five, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Six, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. Seven, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Eight, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our consciousness with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, We try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So, anyways, today I had a doctor's appointment. Don't worry, I'm okay. Um, Finally got my iron infusion appointment set. Wish it could be a little sooner, but it is what it is. Everything's backlogged, and the healthcare system is what it is right now. So, but got that set. Also, working on making plans for my Multnomah Falls hike for my first attempt. My friend and I are going to attempt it together for the first time for both of us. And so that's going to be exciting. And anyway, so yeah, and then after I do my Multnomah Falls, I do plan to do that at least more than one more or two more times before I do my 5K. But being sober for almost 11 years has given me enough know that I can do it on setting goals for myself and sticking to that. So my first goal is I've been working on losing weight. I have 20 pounds more to go, and I will be at my ideal want weight. It's not too much and not too little. So ideal weight for me is 135. That's like down a little too far. So I'm going to stop at 140, 145 in there. So I've got about 20 more to go. Anyways, Lily, my appointment is not until November. It is a 3-hour appointment, and I have to do it by myself. I can't have visitors or anything like that. So I'm nervous about it. I've never had to have anything of any sort done. So yeah. Now I wish I could have scheduled it for tomorrow, because then I would have no excuse to have that amount of time to procrastinate it. But I have to have it done. So there's no choice on it if I want to feel better. So yeah, I have to have it done. And so my appointment is November 18th. So a month away, or 2 months away. But it is what it is. And it's 3 days after my Sobriety birthday for my 11th year. So, of course, my cup is empty. Um, Let me go get some water, and I'll start on my story. And yes, sis, I'm praying for Pippi. She, um, he will be, um, he will be able to be up there at the hospital, but he cannot be in the room with me at all. I have to do the whole 3 hours by myself. Now, however, I can have my phone, so I will be listening to music and watching videos or what have you. Normal stuff that I do here at home, just in a hospital room. Um, it is what it is. I have to have it done. But anyways, so my story started as a child, actually, if you want to get technical about it. Um, Me, like other kids of my age group, I'm not saying all kids, but a lot of us kids, for like toothaches and stuff, we had that good old Jack Daniels rubbed on our gums and told, whatever. But so when I was growing up, my mom did let us have wine a couple times for New Year's because that's what church does, um, for midnight mass. Anyway, so I did drink as a teenager. Um, I drank when I was 15, 16, 17. And then after my oldest son was born when I was 17, um, I didn't drink for a long time. I want to say it was at least um, I think until I hit my 21st, I really didn't drink that I remember. Because before I turned 18, well, right after I turned 18, I had 2 kids. So I was a teen mom of 2 kids, and so I really didn't have that much free time to be able to go and get drunk and party and all that other stuff. Anyway, so I got to 21, and mind you, I had already been in a bar. At 16, I'd been in bars. Because I always had adult partners, and they took me with them. Anyway, so as a teenager, I drank. I really didn't get into the alcoholic self that I became until I was in my 30s. Now, my whole life I had fought becoming not alcoholic because it it's in my blood, it's in my DNA. So it wasn't just my birth father's side that drank. It was my stepdad, my mom, not all the time my mom though. Um, Cousins, uncles, aunts, relatives, they all partied and drank and all those things. Now, I'm not saying that they all were alcoholics because they weren't, but it was gonna happen either way. So when I realized that my kids were not in need of mom all the time, I had a lot of free time. Free time by myself, for myself. I didn't know what to do. I'm not blaming them at all, in no means, because me becoming an alcoholic was in no way their fault. Um, but when I hit my 30s and I became the alcoholic that I fought to not become, I just went with it and I let it take over. And it took over everything. Um, it didn't take very long for that to happen either. Um, but before then, I could drink and, you know, go a while without drinking again. But of course, I was still reminding myself the whole time, you could become that alcoholic. And one of the last times I spoke with my birth father, he still refused to admit the wrongs that he had done. And me being that, coming to becoming an alcoholic, I wanted to make him admit what he did. And so the last time I talked to him, I was drunk and I was livid. I did not want to let it go. And I chewed him up one side, down the other, and all the way around. And it did me no good. All it did was hurt myself. Um, but then I just spiraled. I became somebody that I didn't even like. That's pretty bad when you become somebody that you don't like. But that's exactly what happened. And that's what happens when an alcoholic becomes that alcoholic. They become somebody that they don't even recognize and somebody that they don't like. But they don't want to stop. And that was my issue. I was out there drinking for 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and I quit. But it was every day, all day. I drank, I'd pass out. I drank, I'd pass out. That's all I did for 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's it. That's all I did. And here I was, alcoholic, thinking that I was fooling everybody, that I was not out there drinking all the time, that I was just being me, it was normal. I was sneaky. Let me tell you, one thing, when you're drunk and you think you're being sneaky, you better think twice, because they already know. Because they already knew what I was doing. My husband knew, my kids knew, my parents knew, everybody knew. And that was the first thing of a addicting nature to me, besides cigarettes. That was the only other thing that, knock on wood, the only other thing that I got addicted to was the alcohol and the cigarettes. That was it. And I can have friends vouch for me on that, because they have before. They're like, somebody tried to tell one of my best friends, oh, well, she's a drug addict and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, no, listen, she's actually one of the only people that I know that didn't, that has never. And so becoming an alcoholic, something I fought forever to not become, it just didn't help matters for me. When I got sober the first time, I got sober because I blacked out. I have no clue what happened. or what I hit my face on. But I have a scar in my eyebrow right here. Um, I remember I was getting ready to start dinner, and that means I had a sharp knife, I had a glass pan, and I had a cheese grater, and I was getting ready because I was making enchiladas. That I remember. But so I was getting everything ready to start making dinner. I remember I'd been drinking beer and tequila all day long. And I remember my sister came over because I wanted to share what little tequila I got from the neighbor. I wanted to share it with her, and she refused to drink it. I was like, okay, whatever, more for me. Bye. And so they left. Well, that was the last thing I remembered. And so next thing I knew, I was waking up sitting on the floor in the kitchen, and I was like this because I felt something wet on my face. I was like, and I pulled back my hand, and there was nothing but blood. So I grabbed something out of the dryer because the dryer was right there, and this happened to be a pair of pajamas, my own. And my husband comes in because he took off with Mike because I was belligerent, and he came back. Him and Mike came back, and I'm sitting on the floor with my hand with my pressed up against my eye, and I hadn't looked at it, so I didn't know how bad it was or anything. And so he comes in and sees me sitting on the floor like that, and he's like, what'd you do? What happened? And I don't know what I told him, but he made me move my hand away from my face, and it was cracked open. And so he's like, you need to get up off the floor. You're going to the hospital right now. Come on, we're going to get in the truck now. You don't have a choice. I was like, yes, I do, and I'm not going. And so he went and got our neighbor. She was a really good friend of mine. And she's like, no, you are going to the hospital, and you're going right now. And so I went, and that was just a whole fiasco. I got in a fight with my son. I got in a fight with my husband. I got code red called on me twice. And I thought that my sister-in-law could stay my brow open, and she's just a CMA. And so that was not going to work. I had a security guard standing at the end of the room where I was, because in emergency, it's just a curtain. So he's standing out there, and I'm just standing right inside my room, like I'm looking around. I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and waiting. Come stitch my face. I was getting pissed. So finally they came, and they said you have to have a CT scan. And I don't know where or why. Nobody can remember this lady's name, but all I remember is she had on a red sweater. It was Christmas time at that time. But she had a red sweater on, and she was the one that talked me into going back to the emergency room and all that other good crap. And then she was the one that sat there holding my hand while I went in to a CT to have them scan my head. Of course, everything was already messed up, scrambled in my head anyways. But no, I'm just making fun. But I want my head stitched so I could go home. So finally they did that. And they didn't take the time to tie off 7 stitches. No, they did one continuous stitch with 7 loops. And, but I quit drinking for a year. And they say that you grab something and you hold on to it, and that becomes your crutch to get you from something. Well, that's what I did. My mom had given me for Christmas a cross with the Lord's Prayer in it. And so I wore that for a year. And I took it off and I stopped wearing it and I went back out. And since I found Alcoholics Anonymous, I have not wanted more than being sober. AA taught me how to be a better person for me, not for anybody else, but for me, to myself. And I learned that if you want your sobriety bad enough and for the right reason, and the right reason is for yourself, not for anybody else, but for yourself. That's the right reason. If you want to get sober, you can do it. And you can stay sober from anything. But I can tell you, I would not be here sober today doing AA meetings, telling you my story or any of it if I hadn't found AA at the right time and done it for the right reason. And what I tell everybody is, for me, the right reason was that's what I wanted. This is what I want. This is the life I choose for myself. Being sober. Being a better person. Hooked to my sister's internet, not my own. Anyway, but sobriety has to be for the right reason. I tell them, my sponsees, because I've had a couple of them, but my sponsees, I have told them that you cannot be a good parent, be a good person, or be of any good if you don't fix yourself first. You can't take care of somebody else if you can't take care of yourself. And being in the addiction, alcohol, you're not able to take care of anything else. You're not even able to take care of yourself. Because when you're in that state, that's the only thing that you think of is, where and how am I going to get this? How am I going to get the next drink? How am I going to get that next fix? Hello, Darth. But in order to fix something or help someone, you have to be able to do for yourself first. And I know from having sponsors that the best thing for us to do is to find our voice, use our voice. Your voice is what carries our message to the next person that wants to have this for that reason. For the sobriety that we get. Not everybody that comes to meetings or decides to get sober is able to kick it on their first go. But with AA, for the people that I know that have found AA and been in AA, anyways that I've helped, have managed to stay sober longer. I do have friends that have gone back out, that have been lifelong friends of mine that went back out. They know who they are. And I just have to be there to tell them when they do decide to tell me, if they decide to, that you can do it. You just have to want it for the right reason. And I wish that more people would find that when you want the help, it's there. No matter where you are or who you are or what things you believe in or don't believe in, you just have to want it for the right reason. Yeah, I know. Yeah, some people have that issue with AA and other types of meetings is, we all have our battles and we all have our addictions. We all have those things that we need help with. And sometimes the only thing you can find is that one meeting that is there at that moment that you need it the most. And I tell you, I use AA even still to this day to stay sober, and I quit smoking over a year and a half ago. And I use AA to help me quit smoking. It keeps me going on that no cigarette kick. And it's still not easy. I still have my cravings for a cigarette. Heck yeah, I do. I have people around me that still smoke. I could go get a cigarette if I wanted to. I got money. I could go buy a pack of cigarettes if I want to. I'm choosing not to, and I use AA for that. And AA can be used for everything. I mean, it doesn't have to be just for alcohol. It can be for everything. I have a friend, had a friend that is an addict, and I was trying to help because that person's also an alcoholic. And when I decided that they were asking me for too much, and I said something about it, they're not my friend anymore. On their choice, not mine. But that happens. I have a relative that did the same exact thing. We helped them out, and they were like, nope, I'm good now. I don't need you. And I have not talked to him since. So, I mean, there's help everywhere for everything. And if you help somebody, great. If they say sober, if they say happy, great. If they don't, we can't fix everything. We cannot cure everybody's problem. They have to want it for them. And not everything works for everyone. Not everybody's story is the same. But one thing is, it's worth a try. It's worth a try to see if, by chance, you can stay sober with asking for help. It doesn't even have to be AA. It could be a complete stranger. My sponsor was a complete stranger. My first employer was a complete stranger. My second sponsor was a complete stranger. And guess what? They all became my best friends. My second employment, my best friend is here now. Two of them are here right now. And, you know, we all have our battles, our struggles, our wants, our ambitions, our goals, our dreams. We all have everything of those. But when we have a struggle, not always do we want to ask for that help. I didn't want to ask for the help. A friend asked me to come. That's also what AA is. You go and you can get this gift for free of learning how to live a sober life. All they ask is for you to share it. And I share it. Oh, yeah, it's a lag. YouTube has a lag behind StreamYard. So, yeah, it goes a little slower. Yeah, it does that. Thank you for letting me know. But AA may not be for everybody. NA isn't for everybody. But the help is there. And that's the best thing, is knowing that the help is there. And sometimes talking to a stranger helps. Trust me, I know I did. I'll talk to a whole bunch of strangers. Thank you for all the hearts. It comes across on the StreamYard side as the colors, so I can see, I know what they are. But sobriety is a great life. And like I said, I'm coming up on 11 years. I found out about AA from a friend. A lifelong friend is like, why don't you meet me at an AA meeting? I didn't know he was an alcoholic. I learned that he was, though. So, I mean, but yeah, the help is always there. Um, I remember when I first started AA, I got the book, the big book, that big book. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Um, Not all meetings are like that. Yeah. I Not all meetings are like that. You just happened to go to one that was. Um, I've never had a meeting like that. I've gone to a convention and I've done speaker meeting, and I've never had anything like those. Um, I'm sorry about that experience, but this is an AA meeting, so welcome to a new AA meeting. I do these meetings twice a week. I do one on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and one usually about 6. I might change it to 7 just to make it easier on Thursdays. So at 7 Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, but that not all meetings are like that. I'm sorry you found one that was. Um, I used to I used to say I wasn't going to go back to a meeting ever, but I have. So, but anyways, my sponsor gave me the big book. I met her and she became my sponsor, all because she answered her phone. Nobody else did. But yeah, for sure. Thank you for being so kind, Shannon. Um, so anyway, she gave me a big book, and when I first started AA, I would go, and then I would leave early because, like, I was the new one. I didn't feel like I belonged, because I didn't know anybody. Well, I'd walk down into downtown, and uh, not Portland. It was in a little town. Anyway, so um, I'm carrying the big book, and this guy comes across the street from the gas station with a brown paper bag. I'm like, oh no, I've got trouble. Crap. And he comes and he sits over a little ways from me because I'm like, I don't know what this dude is doing, but yeah, I know what he's got in that bag. He's drinking it, and I'm like, oh, good. This is not great for somebody that just started AA. I'd already been sober for like 3 or 4 months. So, oh no. That would make me mad. But yeah, nah. Anyway, so this guy, he looks over at me, and here I am sitting here with the big book, and he's sitting there with the big old bottle of uh, what was it? Steel, I want to say. Might have been old English, but it was a 40. And I was thinking, this is gonna be hilarious. I have just started AA, and you have a beer. The last thing I drank was, I think it was a beer. I don't remember it really. But anyway, so I was like, keeping my mouth shut. I don't, at that time, I was still not talking to strangers. I didn't want them to know anything about me. But this guy, he's like, the hardest one is step 11. I was like, huh? Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I just started. He's like, yeah, step 11 is the hardest one. I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks for telling me. So I got to step 4 and I was like, that guy was wrong. But for him, as I learned later, for him, even though he was out doing his drinking bender, all I said to him was, you should go back to AA. But never did see him again. But so people learn and know the steps and what ones to them is a hard one. For me, my first round was step 4. Step 4 took me forever to do. And my sponsor is not in the chat tonight, so. But she will probably watch this. And she can vouch. Step 4 took me months upon months to finish. The first time. Now I just go through them, on a daily. Well, sometimes more than that. But anyway, but step 4 for me was really hard the first go because there were things that I didn't know weren't for me to make amends on. A lot of it was from growing up and things that happened when I was a teenager. And, so there was a lot of things that I didn't know that was not for me to make amends for. They were things that about the opposite was needed to make amends, but three of them never will, because they're all past. And those were just things that were beyond my control. And there's one more. But I didn't know that I didn't have to make amends for those things. That those people needed to. And they never did and never will. So shortly after, I want to say maybe it was a year, maybe a year and a half after I got sober, one of them passed away. And I had just told a family member to get a hold of me when that happened. And so when I got that call, I really didn't know how to feel because it was a family member that never admitted to his fault. He never apologized. And now he never will. So I didn't know. Hello, Josh. My feelings were sad but mad all at the same time. So that was really weird for me. And then I had another family member say, well, I need you to sign this paper because you're next of kin. I knew that day was going to come. I knew that day would come. And that was up to me to do. Because my sister would have refused. So, mourning something and being mad at the same time, it's not fun at all. And staying sober through it all. Um, that was hard. That was really hard to do. Because 3 of them died still alcoholics, still drinking. They never got sober. I've gotten hurt by these people that never and never will admit or apologize for it. And I'm still sober, and they could never get sober. That's why they never admitted it. That's why they never would say that they done something. Yeah, it's lagging a lot. I know. Says my signal strong. I don't know why it's being so lagging. But life throws things in your direction, in your path to throw you off of, you know, just throw you off a little bit. And it's those days that I'm glad that I found my higher power and my courage to face sobriety on a daily basis and live out what I've got left of being sober and passing the gift along to the next alcoholic who still suffers and those who need the help. And I do it here because I pay for the internet and that's it. So the other part of my channel I pay for on my own. But this part of my channel is free. I don't charge anybody anything for these to yes, you can ask. You can ask a question. If your person needs to make the amends to those people that have passed, my sponsors actually had to do this. What I can suggest is have them write it down, and you make sure you can tell them that, yeah, it's okay for you to make your amend this way because they need to have that reassurance from a sponsor. Because I asked my sponsor the same question, but my um I wrote mine. Mine were sexual abuse and physical abuse, but more than 3. I have written it down, and I had to ask my sponsor, what do I need to do to be able to get over this? And you're not really over it all the way. I never will be. But I wrote it down and I said, if I burn this, do you think that would be a good idea? And she said, if that's how you can get past it, yes. So tell that person that if they need to have a way to make amends to something on those things, that that is how you can set yourself free of it. Um, I will never forget what happened, what they've done, or what they had done, because they're gone now. But I forgave them for what they did to me, but I will never forget it. Like, that's not possible. Um, I don't dwell about it every day. I don't talk about it every day. I didn't go to counseling for it. I didn't do any of those things. But what I can say is it's not on my mind every single day because, one, it wasn't my means to make. But two, forgiveness does not mean forgetting. That's where a lot of people get confused. And yes, I've had family members get confused on this too. Because I would say something about it and they'd say, well, it doesn't sound like you forgave them for it. I was like, I forgave them. I don't forget it. So there's a difference. Yeah. That was my problem. So I'll just be honest. My father molested me. My birth father did. My father's brother molested me. I had a cousin on the opposite side of the family molest me. And I was the R word by a complete idiot who was a friend of my boyfriend at the time. Now, the only one that paid for any of it was the last one I mentioned, and he got 21 days in jail. I have not asked for amends from him. I probably won't be live, but I'm live on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and at 7 p.m. on Thursday Standard Pacific Time. But yeah, feel free to come in anytime. And you can always watch the reruns. But anyways, it's been an emotional night. But I have to thank AA for being the best thing for me to latch on and stay strong and stay sober. It's not all been easy. It's not all going to be easy. But has every day been worth it? Hell yeah. Every single day. Sobriety is number one. I'm going to go ahead and read the daily reflection and let you guys go about your night. September 18th. Loved back to recovery. Our whole treasured philosophy of self-sufficiency had to be cast aside. This had not been done with old-fashioned willpower. It was instead a matter of developing the willingness to accept these new facts of living. We neither run nor fought, but accept. We did. And then we were free. That's The Best of the Great Mind, Volume 1, page 198. I can be free of my old enslaving self. After a while, I recognize and believe in the good within myself. I see that I have been loved back to recovery by my higher power, who who envelopes me. My higher power becomes that source of love and strength that is performing and continuing miracles in me. I am sober and I am grateful. Thank you guys for being here and being so kind in the chat and asking your questions. And I answer them as truthfully as I can. And I pray that you guys stay sober and have a wonderful week. And I'll see you guys again on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know their difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. I love you guys. Be safe.